All right, hello, and welcome to another edition of Cultural Conversations with the Big South. I'm your host, Darius Thigpen, and this month we have a couple of former student athletes, a couple of soccer players, footballers, first team All Big South as a striker for the 2017 Campbell's men's soccer team, Joshua JJ Donnelly. JJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Darius. Nice to see you.
It's good to see you. And
Yes,
also
sir.
joining us, we have a defender from High Point University. He was named to the All Big South teams all 4 years while in school. First team in 2015 as a senior from New Mexico United, Austin Yearwood. Austin, how you doing?
Hey Darius, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well, guys. I'm happy to report, JJ, you're taking us international. You are the first guest born outside of the U.S. And we're going to talk about the impact that Black people and Black communities in America have had over the last year. We've seen. We're going to talk about it over in the UK as well. So this isn't just about like what's happened here in the US, but also really what's happened around the world across the African diaspora. So for starters, JJ, you're born in London, right? You played in the Brentford youth setup in under 19s with Dover Athletic under 19 before coming to the States for college. So for you, when you first came over to the US, was there any kind of culture shock or anything like that that set in for you?
Yeah, big one. Going straight to Florida.
Yeah.
From a city like London to Florida is kind of like a vacation area. So it was very different, very quiet. Everyone's kind of keeps himself to themselves. London, everyone knows everyone about everything. So coming down here, it was very close knit. Trying to get in the community and stuff like that. And there's not, especially where I was in East Melbourne, there was not a lot of Black people in that area. The biggest Black group we had was the athletes of the college. So we had our little group as well, and we got along. We knew it was a bit different here, but we made it work, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, London, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a massive metropolitan area. You have all corners of the globe that are
Yeah,
represented in the city. And then you go to Florida. And then from Florida, you go to Bowies Creek, North Carolina
yeah.
for Campbell. And now you're in South Carolina with the USL League One with Greenville
Uh,
Triumph. So has it been any different from Florida going up to the Carolinas for you?
um, I probably couldn't have chosen the most southern places to go to, but it's a little bit different. I feel like the more I've gone up the country, there's been more, little groups and people have bigger opinions on stuff, and especially here in South Carolina, I've realized that, especially during the last season where we, a few people kneeled for the anthem, we had a few people who had a few problems with that, which is, up to them. They've got their own opinion, but, that stuff came off the field, and not going to talk about it right now, but a lot of stuff happened, which was, unnecessary in my mind. But I never got that down in Florida, and I just in North Carolina I got it a little bit, and in South Carolina I got it a lot more. I don't know, it's because it's on a bigger stage. Now not in college. People pay to come watch us play. It's a bit different. So, but yeah, I stay in South Carolina is where I've seen the most like adversity for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to dig too deep into it, you don't have to. But I mean, has it ever been anything where it's just been like made you feel unsafe or anything to that effect?
Not unsafe, but more uncomfortable for sure. And my family watch these games as well, and they see that stuff. They don't like it. In college it was kind of, athletes went to athletes games, so you don't really see any of that, especially what's happened in the last year or so. It's made it even more, just comfortable for my family to see that sort of stuff happen. But I'm strong-minded, so is my family. We in London, there's a lot of racism, but it's more, in-house and in the inner city. But here it was more viral, I guess. Like if we saw something on the pitch, it would, the next day you'd hear something about it in the front office, and we'd be like, what's going on here? Like it was a bit different. Like if something happened back home, you heard about it and you never heard about it again. So that's the thing I found a bit different here. But all in all, I've dealt with it, and so has my teammates. So
Well, Austin, I mean, there wasn't an adjustment period going from another country, but you have moved a little bit here throughout the U.S., going from the South in college or in growing up from Charlotte, High Point, and now you're out west in New Mexico. So, how have things been out in the Southwest for you compared to like back in the South?
Um, Things have been overall very good out here in New Mexico. It's New Mexico is a state that's um, often counted out at the bottom all the good list and at the top of all the bad list. But the people out here have been very accepting, and there's a lot of pride in this state. People are very genuine, and I've enjoyed connecting and growing out here with the people here. And it's a very supportive community, especially around our team here.
All right, so let's get into one of the main things I want to get from you guys today. Like, I want to get both of your thoughts around Black Lives Matter and these social justice movements that have come over the last year. So, JJ, you have a different perspective because you've seen how things have transpired, not just here in the U.S., but back in England as well. We've seen from here pictures of protests after the George Floyd killing in London. We've seen people kneeling during Premier League games before kickoff. We've seen the continuation of the Kick Out Racism campaign. But when you chat with people back home, especially now that we're nearly a year from the inflection point of last summer, how do those conversations go? I mean, what's kind of the feeling back in England and back in London?
Um, it's like I said, it's like anything that goes viral for a little bit. Everyone was talking about it. It was on every conversation, and now, like everything else on social media, has kind of died down a bit, which is expected. It's just how it works these days. But my friends back home, having a lot of African American friends and Caribbean friends, they're still pushing it and still protesting currently back home and still trying to do their part to make it better and easier for their kids and their grandkids and everyone else to, hopefully have a better future. So, but I know a lot of people who say, oh, it's not as bad as in England and as it is in America. But like I said, I have a perspective where I've seen both, and, I can say it is just as bad. It's just not as much noticed in England, but you'll see it in Premier League games all the time. You hear about before this George Floyd stuff, the amount of people throwing bananas on the pitch and doing stuff like this, and you never really saw that in America, I think, but you see it more in the systemic racism part, which with the police and stuff like that, which is not as big as it is in England. But in terms of sports and stuff, I say it's way higher in England in terms of the amount of racism players get just on social media, even at games, just chants and stuff like that. But I say it's pretty similar, just in different areas. It's more focused, the racism.
Yeah, and then Austin, just from your perspective, I mean, obviously your experience is going to be different from JJ since you've lived in the U.S. your whole life. But when he brings up kind of the fact that you have not as many people talking about it, not as many people focusing on the social activism, where back in June and July everyone was gassed up. I mean, what have you kind of seen from where you are?
I think history has repeated itself here in America, where it's the same kind of momentum, it's the same shift of something explosive happens. People are upset about it for maybe a couple weeks to a month, and then the conversation dies. What I do think I've noticed about this time around, I mean, when you're talking about coming from George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, it's I feel like the conversation is still going on. It's growing. I feel like it hasn't gone away, which is something positive. I think it's really awesome to see kind of JJ and I's, like, our generation kind of growing into the forefront of it, and not letting these things die down, and still, pushing the envelope and still pushing the issue, and kind of just backing up this wave until we see some sort of lasting change.
So JJ, you've been very outspoken on the whole topic. You wrote a piece for the USL League One defining Black Lives Matter, and you made it crystal clear in your first few words exactly what it means. Just saying Black Lives Matter is equality. And you spoke from a place where you're speaking about yourself, you're speaking about what it means for your son, for future generations, what it means for so many other people. It was a short and sweet, but still a very powerful message. So I just want to kind of know, where does that come from for you, wanting to talk about something that not everyone wants to talk about? I mean, outside of the obvious, of course, of walking around as a Black man, not everyone wants to address this, whether they're Black, white, or whatever. This may be an elephant in the room for some people. So what makes you so willing to want to discuss this topic?
Like I said before, just I'm an outspoken person. I like to, voice my opinion could be right, could be wrong. You know, I just like people to hear my opinion and see if they can agree with me or not. Cause a discussion, you know, and the more people talk about it, the more people will read about it. And like I said, if I post something on Instagram or Twitter or something like that, maybe 1 or 2, 3 people might read it, show their parents might show some co-workers, and then vice versa. That chain keeps going on, so them conversations keep happening. I think that's, people get a bit scared, a bit timid about sharing stuff that's not, you know, 100% correct or 100% right. You know, they're like, if people think, oh, this about it, they won't post it. You know, they're all worried about what other people think. Well, I'm just like, I'll say what I want, and people can like it or not like it, but I'm going to voice my opinion. And I think more people need to be doing that.
Well, likewise, Austin, you put out a video with your team back in June. It was a message of hope and action, and you outlined your anger toward the murders that led to the protests in the first place, the extensive history that goes on beyond them, apprehension about how people would have to face that personally, or what it may be. But you also flipped it and you talked about hopefulness in the face of all of it. So, for you, where does that hopefulness come from, and the willingness to take action? Where does that come from for you?
I mean, I think like you gotta have hope. I think if you don't, then all is lost. And for me, the willingness to speak up or put myself out there, it's not about me. I view the Black Players Alliance or anything that I do as an individual, it's yes for the current climate, but for those that come after me, that they don't have to experience the same type of stuff that we have now, and it's setting the stage for the future and kind of being an agent of change for that. So I guess it comes from a selfless place, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, this is all a conversation that I would imagine, whether you want to be a part of it or not. I mean, this is something that, being Black in America, you're going to get pulled into. JJ, you kind of alluded to it, just the fact that you've spoken to Black teammates, white teammates, people just in general who just want to have a conversation. And obviously in soccer, compared to American football or basketball, there aren't as many Black athletes here in America compared to in those other sports. So when you get into that situation where you are the Black viewpoint, so to speak, for a conversation, I mean, how do you handle it, and are you comfortable carrying the conversation in that way?
Yeah, I know in college it was the same. You know, I was one of a few Black people in college on my teams. So, you know, if anything did happen or there was any sort of questions about anything in the social media, you know, a lot of people would ask me like, oh, like, what's your opinion on this and stuff? And I'd tell them, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, or you just can listen if you want and share my story and other people's stories who have been in this situation. But I feel very comfortable with talking about race. The locker room I've been in, especially now in Greenville, very open about it as well. You know, we have a few African American players on the team as well, so it helps having, you know, another Black player on the team to, you know, carry the load sometimes with certain conversations and stuff. But yeah, very comfortable. I've been around, like I said, teammates who have been open to talk about it, but I'm just talking about people in, for example, fans and stuff who have asked me questions and stuff. They don't seem very open, shall we say, to discuss like a different viewpoint.
Yeah, and Austin, I mean, it has been kind of the same for you, where those conversations will pop up and you're ready to take it on.
Yeah, I'm always willing to have a conversation. I think it's easy, to talk with people that are like-minded, but where we attack the change is to kind of have those maybe more uncomfortable discussions with people that may not see things the same way that you do. But here at New Mexico United, it's been awesome. I think we had discussions as a locker room last year. We acknowledge that all of us come from different walks of life, have different experiences, and have different beliefs. But we can respect each other, and we can all make our choices, but we do it in a united way. That was how we approached the whole kneeling, at pregame. It's some people decide to stand, some people decide to kneel, but we all have our hand on each other because that symbolizes no matter what, like we made this decision together and that we support each other. And that's kind of been the vibe around the whole organization, with our fans as well. It's been it's been a positive experience in terms of having those conversations and shedding a light on things.
And Austin, it's so apropos that you would bring up unity in it because your team, New Mexico United, you put out the Somos Unidos Foundation, so translates to "We Are United," and that's something that you've been the face of over the last year. So, what can you tell us about Somos Unidos? What you guys have been working on?
The one major thing that we've been working on is our diversity fellowship program. And that was spearheaded that's the brainchild of our head coach here, Troy Lassane. And that program is designed to really combat the diversity issues that we have in pro soccer. If you're looking at all the leagues in American soccer, women and people of color are underrepresented. So the objective of that is to change that. And it changes it by attacking two factors, and that's access and then the financial burden of pursuing careers in coaching and also in the front office. So it's really awesome to have that start last year, and then coming to now, like in the recent weeks, we've selected our first few candidates for that program, which is awesome to get that up and running. But those candidates will go through a 6 month intensive program, kind of side by side. If you're going the coaching route, you'll be with our staff, learning from them. If you want to be in the front office, you're going to be learning from our front office staff. And at the end of those 6 months, you're supplied a scholarship to either continue your education elsewhere, or also to help subsidize your coaching costs if you're going to go to coaching courses and things like that. So it's just awesome to see, and super appreciative and super thankful that New Mexico is not afraid to take that step and be supportive of this movement.
Right, and that's awesome. That it's not just something that is a press conference that you guys had, or you made a video, but you actually went out and got involved right away from a grassroots level. That's fantastic. And JJ, you guys have been doing the same with the USL's Black Players Alliance. You serve as director of marketing and social media. What are some of the things that you've been a part of with the Players Alliance?
So I just make sure if any sort of information that the rest of the community wants to know, I make sure it goes out there on all platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That was YouTube as well. We have a new YouTube channel. And just trying to spread the word, especially during Black History Month. Me and a few of the boys made it, to post every day, just do a little story every day, just celebrating Black people, and just the history of like the first Black soccer player in America, and just little things like this. Just give people who say they want to be educated, help them be educated. So in terms of social media, that's basically what I've been doing. But in terms of at the board, we've been having a lot of meetings lately, and just currently we just created a kit with the USL League One and Championship and Puma, and all funds are going towards the Young Investor Society, which we're going to help create these scholarship programs to help youth minority kids get an opportunity to get to college, help with the funds, and just give them an opportunity that maybe financially they won't be able to do by themselves. So yeah, all the money's going towards a good cause, and we actually sold our shirts in the first day, so we're going to be printing some more. So it's looking good. It's looking good.
Yeah. All right, now one thing I want to kind of get to, the intersection of Black culture and soccer. Okay, so football throughout the rest of the world, literally everywhere except for the US, football is king. So over in England, we get to see how it kind of sets the tempo of like what gets to be cool, what gets to be a part of like the culture. It's starting to grow here in the US. I mean, we'll see like J. Cole wearing a PSG kit in a music video. LeBron, he's a part of the FSG group that owns Liverpool. Kobe, he was a huge fan. So I kind of want to see JJ with what the USL are doing, contributing in partnerships with Black Arrow FC. Uh, that sounds like something that could be part of like building a bit of a soccer culture and making soccer kind of cool over here in the U.S. What can you tell us about that partnership with Black Arrow FC?
So as you've seen, they've been, talking to Wolverhampton FC quite a lot. They've been posting a few pictures of them in some, undisclosed gear and stuff, new kit and stuff. So they're trying to get into the Premiership side of stuff, and it's looking really good. A lot of things coming forward in the future, especially the season coming up right now with the USL and USL One. So things I can't tell you right now, but it'll be coming out shortly. So
All right, fair enough.
stay tuned for sure.
And Austin, I mean, just from your perspective, I mean, growing up here, how much would you like to see just football be a part more of the American culture, just being one of the top sports here?
I mean, I would love it. I think the stuff that Black Arrow FC is trying to do in our partnership between Black Arrow FC and the USL Championship and the BPA, it's really exciting. Like, I'm stoked for it. The stuff that has been released is incredible. It's like it's great to see these ideas like finally come to fruition, and it's just the beginning.
All right, so one thing I do want to get to, going back to the Premier League, and something that we've also seen here in the U.S., going back to the conversation on kneeling. What we've seen with the women's national team and Wilfred Zaha of Crystal Palace choosing not to kneel before the last round of games before the international break here in March, we've seen the conversation come back to, okay, we knelt, we made our statement. Is this enough? What next? So that seems to be the question that keeps coming up. So I like to see just from your guys' perspective, and JJ, I'll start with you. Do you think enough is being done? Are we heading in the right direction, or is there more that we should be doing?
I think we're slowly, very slowly heading in the right direction, but I don't think enough is being done, like enough immediately. I feel like, like I said, everything happened a year ago, and a lot of things happened very fast, and everyone was like, "We've got to do this, we've got to do this," and then it kind of just dropped off a little bit. Like Austin said, there's still conversations going on, and there's still organizations, digging and trying to get things done. But I feel like we can do a lot more. I don't feel like kneeling for 10 seconds before a game is doing too much. I understand that in the Premier League, it's just a norm now. You don't even think about it. If you watch a game, you just, oh, they're gonna kneel. It's just like you're not thinking, oh, they're kneeling because it's for Black Lives Matter, and it's a good thing. It's just kind of like part of the routine now. So I think the kneeling's gone on for a bit too long. I think we need to find something else that's gonna, catch the attention of viewers, the million of viewers that watch the Premier League. Because friends that are watching back home, I ask them, like, do you even notice that they kneel anymore? They're like, oh yeah, they're still doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't. It's not a big thing. It's not eye catching enough. I think Zaha standing, that's made the press even over here in America. So I think I understand his point of saying, like, why do we need to kneel to be on the same level? Like, he's 100% correct. So I feel like there's still steps to go, especially in terms of like actual actions more than just words. So.
And what a voice in Zaha himself, because he's faced so much of that racial abuse, not just in stadium but online as well. So it really does carry weight hearing it from him.
Yeah.
And Austin, same kind of question for you. I mean, do you think that things are heading in the right direction, or do you think that efforts do kind of need to be stepped up?
I'm on the same wavelength as JJ. I think it's slow, but it's in the right direction. And in regards to kneeling, I mean, it's ultimately it's a symbol, and that's what drew attention to everything in the first place. And I think it's served well for sure. But at the end of the day, it is a symbol, and it's not necessarily action oriented. And I think the action piece is what that's what needs to grow now. The awareness is there, which is great, and that's the building block. That's what we're building off of. But the next piece is the action piece, which is definitely a much longer process, a much more difficult process, and there's tons of different facets, different avenues in which you can take. So it's definitely going to be a slower process, but I do think it's going in the right direction.
Well, as we wrap up, let's go ahead and highlight some of those actionable items that you guys have been working on. Because we like to highlight a charity or a group that our guest has been working with as we conclude. And with the Black Players Alliance, you guys have done some massive work already with this player-led initiative. JJ, what more can you tell us about what the BPA is doing?
So, like I said earlier, we're just trying to create some fundraising for the Young Investors Society and Score NA as well. We're trying to get the funds up by selling jerseys, scarves. We're going to do a few things during the season as well that's coming up, which, I'll keep that hidden for now, but some good things to come up for the season whilst everyone's playing. And hopefully when COVID dies down a bit, more of us can be more involved in the community. There's a lot of ideas we have here, especially at Greenville. We've spoke to the front office and got a few communities that we can go down to and do some good stuff in. So, and each member of the board's done the same thing. They've gone to their communities and spoke to their front office, and they've got things planned up, ready to go in the works. We're just waiting for everything to die down a little bit. Right now, we can do exactly what we're doing right now, little Zoom calls and stuff like that. But right now, it's just words. We need more action. So as soon as everything gets a bit better, we'll be able to produce a lot more. But currently, we're, like I said today, we produced the shirts, and we're really happy with the feedback we've got and the amount of people that have been asking for more and more. Knowing that the money's gone to a good cause is amazing, and we're so thankful for everyone that's helping out and sharing and reposting and making sure people see what's happening. So yeah, it's amazing.
And what are the what is website and the social places where fans or anyone who's watching can get involved?
So just on Twitter and Instagram, it's just at USLBPA on every social media, and you can get us at YouTube as well at USLBPA. Everything's on there. We got every because on Instagram they only let you do some snippets. So on YouTube we have the more longer interviews that are like 20-30 minutes with people's parents. We got one of our co-founders, Brandon Miller, interview with his mother about as a Black woman in soccer, trying to help her young Black son, make it to the top. It's a great interview. It's definitely worth a watch for sure.
And Austin, for you all with New Mexico United and Somos Unidos, what more can you tell us about what you guys are working on?
Obviously, the diversity fellowship was the biggest thing. I'll keep things under wraps for now, but there's this. Our organization doesn't stop, and it's it starts with our owner, Peter Trevisani, and filters down all the way through. We want to be in the trenches with our community, and we want to keep that. It's just such a great relationship. There's always something that's being done, but you guys will definitely have to wait and see.
All right, awesome. Looking forward to both of those. And for me, I'm going to shout out the Black Play-by-Play Scholarship and Grant Fund. The fund is a scholarship that is meant to get college kids interested in broadcasting, to get their feet wet, to get them linked up with other young broadcasters and with professional broadcasters who can become their mentors and get them started, because it's tough to get started in the broadcasting industry for anyone, but especially for people of color. So that's one thing that we're working on with that grant, with that fund, to get something into their pocket so they can get started and kickstart their career. All right, so JJ Donnelly and Austin Earwood, I truly appreciate both of your guys' time. You guys have both been fantastic today. I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Darius. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. This was awesome.
All right, and for our viewers, we appreciate you watching as well. We'll catch you next time on Culture Conversations with the Big South.